get to it, fam.
This happened when I was 18. I'm 22 now. I live in San Antonio, Texas. It was
big up San Antonio, G. Bo, bo,
This was
bo.
when COVID just started blowing up, so everything began to shut down, including my school. Even though everyone was supposed to be staying home and being in quarantine, my friend group and I were going out more than ever. There wasn't much to do.
You close to San Antonio? Yeah, I live about 3 hours away from San Antonio, innit?
Exploring haunted places. To this day, I still
fuck San Antonio, all the ops be chilling there, G.
I've had a couple
I
experiences
was reading
with
chat.
the homeless, cults, even had a gun pointed at me.
The
But
fuck?
nothing compared to how odd and creepy this one instance I came across while exploring was. Moving forward, around this time, I started talking to a girl who I had a class with in high school. Her name was Clarissa. If it weren't for her matching my alibi of what happened this night, I'm sure none of my friends would have believed me. We were still kind of freshly dating, but I somehow convinced her to explore a wooded natural park at 3 a.m. here in San Antonio.
First off, fam, you start dating a fucking girl. You start dating a fucking girl and you convince her to go to the woods at 3 a.m.? Fam, what type of shit is you on? What type of shit you on, G? Fam, if that was me and you're my girl, nigga, I would have chefed you, fam. I'm not, mans ain't going to no woods at 3 a.m. Mans is not going to no woods at 3 a.m. You're taking a piss.
The park is called OP Schnabel. It's relatively nice, safe, and very scenic during the day. But at night, it can be a dangerous place, and police usually roam the entrances to the area at night, keeping people away. In 2016, a 24-year-old woman named Lauren Bond was brutally murdered and stabbed over 20 times. And in 2021, a boy exploring the woods was shot. Clarissa and I get to the park around 3 a.m. It's super creepy and pitch black. The trees do a really good job at covering the moonlight. I don't like to have my flashlight on because then my eyes can't adjust to the darkness, and you can really only see what's lit up from the light. Plus, I wouldn't want someone to see my light from a far distance, so I like to keep them off while exploring. We were probably about 15 to 20 minutes in walking the main trail. I didn't plan to be in there for too long because it was kind of creepy and oddly quiet that night. I knew a trail that goes off the road that leads back to where my truck was parked. I told her we could take that trail, essentially making a full circle, instead of walking all the way back around. She agreed, and so we began walking.
Fam, can we talk about how creepy this dude is? Who the fuck takes their girlfriend on the first date at 3 a.m. in the fucking woods? Fam, my daughter will not be on no shit like this, fam. Is he fucking mad? He's taking a piss.
Trail. We were probably only about 2 minutes into the off-road trail when suddenly, out of nowhere, a flute began playing.
Oh, nah, fam.
Clarissa and I stopped dead in our tracks and looked at each other, just listening.
The man that did not have a go at my daughter. Oh, G, she's not
playing it.
You're taking a piss.
Super in cadence and sounded like it was playing some sort of piece of music. However, there was no time for me to process that it may have sounded good. It was creepy as fuck. As I said before, I don't scare easily, but 15 seconds into the flute solo, Clarissa began trembling in fear and on the brink of crying. I was kind of just listening, but when Clarissa started praying to God to save her and forgive her for her sins, that's when I realized the severity of the situation. To be clear, it was super hard to pinpoint where the sound of the flute was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from the direction of the previous main trail, which was parallel to where we were, with about maybe 30 to 50 yards of woods in between. But it was getting louder and closer, to the point where it sounded like the sound was right on top of us.
You see, at that point, fam, I would have got my fucking shank out. I would have got my fucking shank out and wet him up. He said he was right in front of him, I would have chefed him up, fam. Innit?
Clarissa couldn't even focus because she was so scared.
Nigga said yellow eyes,
so I had to man up and get us out of this situation.
Imagine walking in the forest and you thought freak the fuck out.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna let.
I'm a roadman, but I would be a little scared in it.
I told her that we should run down the off-road trail to get away. So we did. We began to sprint. I believe the flute stopped playing, but it was hard to notice because I was more focused on getting the hell out of there. We only got about 30 feet, when out of nowhere, we heard the rustling of bushes and the snapping of
yo, easy, run your pockets quick time. Nah, fam, I ain't going for that. I'll chef you. I'll wet you up.
Now, this
I'm not
could
going
have very well
for
been a deer or some sort of bigger wildlife, but it was so strange because I could almost feel the size of whatever was in front of us. I don't know if it was from the wind or what. The only thing is, I never saw a silhouette or a shape of anything in front of us. Another strange thing is, I didn't hear it coming and I didn't hear it run away. I only heard the dash right when it was right in front of us. As soon as we felt and heard whatever dashed across the trail right in front of us, we obviously turned back around and bolted in the other direction until we got back to the original point where we heard the flute. And then, as if whoever was playing it was waiting for us to return, the flute started to play again, loud and right on top of us. This time it was almost chiming. It sounded like it belonged to some sort of Irish jig song or something, but the chiming was still in cadence. However, it was still impossible to pinpoint where the sound was coming from.
This is a true story, G.
Surrounding us. At this point, my fight or flight instincts kicked in because we were trapped. We had two options.
Which one?
Go back into the off-road trail where we heard that terrifying dash right in front of us, or go back to the main trail where the flute and whatever psychopath was playing it was on.
Or option 3. Knife him up. But you're not a roadman, sir.
The off-road trail was definitely scarier because it was darker and surrounded by more dense forest, and at least the main trail was a cement path. Thus, I told Clarissa, who was still trembling.
Now, knowing somebody's watching you is definitely fucking fearful. I'm not gonna lie, that got to be scary. You don't even know where they are either.
Adrenaline was still pumping, so we cut the 20-minute walk into a 7 to 8 minute jog. And somewhere along the run, the flute noise must have stopped. Along the run back, there was a random porta potty, and I was scared to death because what if someone was on the other side or hiding inside?
What the fuck is there a random porta potty in the woods, fam?
Where we were at earlier.
Are you shitting me?
Thankfully, I didn't see anyone or signs of anyone ever having been there. In fact, my truck was the only vehicle in the area near the main entrance to the woods. We made it to the truck, and I sped far away from there. The next day, I told all my friends about it, and I looked all over the internet to see if anyone's ever come across anything like this. People claim to run into ghosts, cults, animals making terrifying noises.
The fuck?
But a soft and rhythmic flute solo, I couldn't find anything on that. Or maybe I just didn't look hard enough. I tried to figure out all the possibilities. There are some houses that eventually led into a neighborhood on the far edge of the woods, but those houses are at least a couple miles away. And we were fairly deep into the woods, so there's no way the sound could have traveled that far because I'm telling you, the flute was clear as day and it was 3 a.m. Obviously, I never found out who was playing that flute, or what dashed right in front of us. I actually kind of got chills writing the story. The more I think about it, it actually seems more paranormal, rather than something scary on a tangible level. I don't know if it was a person, ghost, cult, or what. I'm really hoping someone might have a rational explanation. Either way, I never really went back to those woods at night. I still explored plenty of creepy places, but never really came across anything like that ever again.
Yeah, pussy still, I just back it out. Innit, fam? Fam's a pussy. I would've chefed him up, innit, fam? You would've got knifed.
I'm a 20-year-old guy. I work at a medium-sized hospital in northwest Alabama as a pharmacy technician.
Innit, my G?
I work an early night shift.
Fam, I would've knifed him up, fam. I would've chefed him.
I'm also in charge of
I'm taking a piss, I'm
surgery.
taking a piss.
I work for 7 days in a row, and then I have 7 days off. Working the 7 sucks, but the 7 off feels amazing. I work Thursday through Wednesday, and on my 6th night working, a Tuesday, I left a little early to go stay with my wife at her aunt's house.
Is that a real knife?
Minutes away from our house.
I think it is. It is. I'm a real roadman, so it's a real knife.
We're on a trip.
I got a sword too. Where my sword
The house
at?
didn't have any curtains, so she felt
I got a sword too, fam.
nights she was there.
I got a sword too,
I didn't
fam.
go with her at first because it was during my work week, and she told me there was really no point if I was going to get there around 5 a.m. and then go to sleep once the sun started to rise. But on her last night babysitting, she felt extremely anxious, so I told her I was coming over. She is stubborn, but she thanked me and felt so much better once I arrived. Working the night shift for the last
I won't show too much, and I won't show too much
mentally, and I think I've started to develop some slight insomnia. I literally could not go to sleep after getting to my wife's aunt's house. This isn't anything new, but I had never stayed up for more than about 28 hours before.
The fuck?
Even if I wanted to, I couldn't sleep because we had a really big day ahead of us. We had to drop her little cousins off at school, our friend was having a gender reveal party, we had to go shopping because we had no groceries at home.
Should I show this instead? The plastic sword in it?
I had to be at work at 6
Should I show the plastic sword in it instead?
I ended up falling asleep in the car
Let me know,
for
G.
a little less than 10 minutes. I was really feeling that wave of sleepiness come over me, but I ended up getting a huge Red Bull and another
Energy, the sword
once I got
still.
to work.
Okay, fam, okay.
I had my wife drive me to work and pick me up since my brakes needed to be changed and I wasn't driving my car, and also because neither of us trusted myself to drive her car on over 24 hours of no sleep. It was Wednesday night now, and I had been awake since about 2 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon. My shift
You
started
the gym
out
today, my
fine.
G? In it. Yo, I went to the gym today. I gymmed. I hit arms today, G. In it. I hit arms so I could chef people up easier. You sound so London, switch to the Stoke accent. I ain't gonna lie. I'm tapped in the UK, but I don't know what the Stoke accent is from. I'm a London roadman. I'm a London roadman.
If I could stay busy, that tired
from East
feeling
Ends.
wouldn't really get to me. I put in my earbuds and was listening to music as I was stuck in the surgery rooms with their meds. It was a weeknight, so there were still some late surgeries finishing up, and housekeeping was cleaning up some operating rooms that had been used. It's not uncommon for surgery personnel to come into the room I was in and grab something that the room they were using may be out of, so I usually turn around and at least smile, and they smile back. I was in my own little world, stocking the Omnicell machine with meds and listening to music, when I heard the door behind me open.
I have heard the accent. I heard the accent.
There was that distinct high-pitched squeal when a door needs its hinges to be oiled. It made the loud crash that heavy wooden doors make when they shut. So I turned around to see who it was, like always.
The fucking
There was no one there.
Yo,
I didn't really.
yo, Marty, I'm not no fucking YN. I'm a roadman, fam. I'm not a fucking YN. I don't know what the YN is, fam. You're taking a piss. I'm a fucking UK roadman.
Get worried about
Come
it.
on, fam. I'll wet
I
you up
opened
in
the
it.
door and saw I was in there and just decided to go to another room. So I continued on. As I pushed my cart to the next room, the light in this room was off. I opened the door, and I swear, I saw someone hunched over by the Omnicell machine, digging through the sharps bin. If you don't know what that is, it's a bin where you dispose of needles and vials after use instead of just putting them in a normal garbage can. Someone had already been caught doing this before in search of morphine and consequently was fired. I turned on the light and was going to ask what they were doing, but when I turned the light on, there was no one there. Okay, now I was starting to get a little creeped out. I didn't know the time frame of when you could start hallucinating after not sleeping for over 24 hours, so I just told myself I was probably seeing things and needed to just calm down. I finished up stocking surgery with no other occurrences and headed back to the pharmacy. At 2 a.m. every night, we have to deliver patient-specific medications to the nurses' station. I'm going to use the 5th floor as an example.
Have I ever had any spooky experiences in real life? I don't think I've had any spooky experiences. The only spooky thing I've ever been through is walking through West Ends at 4 a.m. Man's was about to get shoved up in it. It was getting real spooky, fam. The opposition was about to knife me, but I made it out luckily.
Of how the floors are laid out, but each floor number corresponds with which floor they were on. There are 3 elevators in the middle of the floor. If you go left when getting off the elevator, there's the 5100 and 5200 side, and if you go to the right, there's the 5400 to 5500 side. There are 2 wings on each side, so there are patient rooms numbered 5105 to 5115, and the other wing has rooms 5201 to 5215. Each floor is laid out the exact same way, so each wing has 15 rooms on each side. To shorten the floor names though, I'm going to refer to them as 51, 52, and 54, 55. Recently, the 5th floor, specifically the 54, 55 side, had been undergoing some remodeling, so our overflow floor, the 3rd floor, was where they put the patients who were on the 54, 55 side of the 5th floor while they remodeled.
Wait, send what, fam? What do you want to send? What do you want to send in it?
It was empty because there weren't that many people in the hospital that night. I made my way up the hospital, delivering meds to the nurses' station floor by floor, until I got to the 5th floor. I went to the 51-52 side, delivered the meds, and decided to go check out the
spooky love experience. You can send it.
Side. As I went over there, I just got creeped out. There were no nurses, no patients, just the long, empty hallways. The surgery rooms are already empty and desolate most nights, so I'm used to walking around down there.
Got you, fam. I got you, fam.
But seeing empty patient rooms just creeped me out. I walked slowly down the 55 side. I heard a noise that sounded like one of the hospital beds rattling. As I passed 5512, I quickly found out what the noise was. As I looked into the rooms, I saw an old man violently shaking as if he was having a seizure. Blood was running down his eyes, nose, and out of his mouth. He was making this gargling, groaning sound, almost like the sounds the zombies in The Walking Dead make.
You know, as a roadman, I know you're working at a hospital, mate. He might be having a seizure, but I would have to shut you up. You have blood coming out your fucking eyes. You're shaking violently. I would have just had to stop it all. I can't let that rock, G, innit?
A monitor was frantically beeping like it does when a patient is coding. My heart dropped when I saw this, and I took a quick step behind the doorframe. I immediately stepped back into the room as I realized this man was in desperate need of medical attention. But when I looked back in there was no man. This bed was clean and made. The monitor was off, and there were no signs that anyone had even been in that room for at least a whole day. I thought at that point I was for sure hallucinating. I quickly made my way back over to the elevators, and I made my way back down to the first floor where the pharmacy is. As the elevator doors opened, an old man in a security shirt and hospital badge got on the elevator. He patted my shoulder as he walked past me. It was that same man I had seen moments before, having a seizure and making those zombie-like noises. He smiled at me as the doors closed, and I watched the numbers on the elevator go all the way up to the 5th floor.
Oh, fuck no.
I didn't push the button for the elevator to come back down, but the same elevator came back down to the 1st floor and opened. There was no one on the elevator. I ran back to the pharmacy and sat in a chair for the rest of my shift until my wife came and picked me up. As I was waiting, I googled when hallucinations start when you haven't slept. It said between 30 and 48 hours, and I was on hour 38 of no sleep, so it made sense. The pharmacy is located directly under the 54-55 side, so when I walk in, I can see the window at the end of the hospital wing on the 24, 34, 44, and 54 side. Sometimes, as I wait on the elevator on that side to go back down to the pharmacy, I look out the window. As I was walking out to my wife's car, I looked back up at the 5th floor window and saw the same
I don't know if he was hallucinating
at me through the
or
window.
it was a fucking ghost,
Chills as I got into my wife's car.
Hell
I didn't
no,
say
fuck
anything
that,
about
fam.
what I saw that night. I'm not sure why I would have hallucinated that specific man, as I've never seen him before, and even if I have, he has no significance in my life whatsoever. I'm still not sure, though, if that was even a hallucination, or if what I saw that night.
Oh my fucking days, I just restarted the video by accident. My fault, fam.
I've not seen that man again, but this was just under 2
I ain't gonna lie, the
weeks
story's
ago.
over anyway, innit? Alright, story 3. After this, I'll probably go on some fucking Outlast, innit?
I live with
Outlast,
my
then we'll do
boyfriend
some more
in this
scary, and
house
then we'll
that
get
he
on Alien
owns.
Isolation.
It's a modest house in a good neighborhood. Violent crime here is typically low. I say it's a modest house because compared to the other houses in the neighborhood, it's on the smaller side. But having a smaller house in this neighborhood is still very desirable because it allows us to still live in a nice town without owning a multi-million-dollar home. It's a single-floor, 3-bed and 2-bathroom house with a basement. We're on a very quiet block with a lot of privacy. The way the street curves provides this optimal privacy, as when we step outside of the house, there's not a single neighboring house directly facing us. There are 8 houses total on our block. Further down the block is a small wooded area. My boyfriend Mika was away one weekend in Vegas for a bachelor party last October.
I'll read after this video.
Friday after work, I had some of my girls over for a wine night. At some point while we were in the living room watching scary movies, the doorbell rang.
Hell no.
We all went quiet and looked at one another with the same faces. The doorbell ringing late at night while watching a scary movie almost felt not real. I went to go sneakily see if I could see who was outside on the porch, but I couldn't get a view from the window. There is a tiny glass panel at the top of the door, so I peeked through it. There were like 4 cars in the driveway. They had to know people were home, but I didn't see anyone on the porch. I went back to my friends, and while we all agreed that was weird, we accepted that it was just a very unfortunately timed ding-dong ditch.
Fam, that wasn't no ding-dong ditch, innit? Somebody's trying to break into your fucking house, so get the man them to back it, G, and tighten the fuck up.
After everyone left, it was late enough for me to go to bed and fall asleep right away. But I was awoken that night, not even an hour later, to the doorbell ringing twice. I looked at my phone and it was like 1 a.m. No one belongs outside your door at this hour. I immediately called Mika, and he picked up sounding really drunk in a loud bar. He had to go to a bathroom to be able to hear me. Once he heard me, he told me to just stay in the bedroom and not open the door to anyone. He never once suggested calling the police, so I refrained from doing that for now. We ended our call, and I tried to just stay calm and go back to sleep. Just as my heart rate started to slow and I started to calm down, I heard something from outside.
Fuck
Some kind
no.
of clicking sounds until there was a knock at my window. and a male's voice said, "Hey, anyone home? I need some help out here."
Fam.
I thank the Lord the blinds were closed. I couldn't see who was out there, and they
Fam.
couldn't see me.
Sure. I might be taking a piss here. If you knock on my fucking window at 3 a.m. asking, is anybody home? I need some fucking help. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to get behind you, make sure you don't hit me, and I'm going to fucking shank you, innit? What the fuck you banging on my window at 3 a.m. asking if anybody's home? You're asking for it. You're asking. Is he fucking mad? Is he fucking mad? He's asking on my window in my home. We're taking a piss, man.
Instead of leaving, he knocked again on the window. He said, "I know you're home." This was what prompted me to call the police. I never heard the man outside walk away from the window.
Oh,
For all
fuck
I
no.
knew he was still standing outside of it.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting
So I
low-key
whispered
scared,
the
Jay.
entire time while on the phone, reporting someone trying to break into my house. Call me dramatic or an embellisher, but I was scared and I wanted the police here ASAP. Within 5 to 10 minutes, the doorbell rang again, followed by loud knocks. I went out and approached the front door and asked who it is. A male's voice said it's the police. It was a different voice from the other guy. I looked through the glass and confirmed it was a couple police officers. I opened the door for them, and right off the bat, the taller officer in front walked right into my house without my even inviting him in.
The fuck?
He said they were responding to my report of a disturbance, and I said there's a man lurking around the house ringing the bell and knocking on my window. I don't want to make a big part of my recounting this story about this particular police officer, but he was the rudest man I'd ever met. I felt like he was on a power trip. He was demeaning towards me, telling me to shush and talking over me while I was trying to explain. He also didn't seem to take my claims very seriously. His partner didn't say a word, he just stood in the back. The taller one asked me details that I'd already made clear I wouldn't have, such as what the man looked like, when I clearly stated that I hadn't seen him. And the officer actually said to me, "Well, you're the one who called us, ma'am. If you don't want our help, we can leave." I was taken aback completely. I'd never called the police.
What the fuck is wrong with this police officer, fam?
I expected such a lack of professionalism. I apologized and said I'm just scared. It was around this time that the two officers walked around the house with their flashlights. They went full circle and then came back, but honestly, they didn't really check very thoroughly. I watched them through the windows. They came back to the door and told me there's nothing they can do if I don't have any cameras or proof of the man trying to commit any wrongdoing. The two cops then left. I didn't feel any better at all, besides the fact that maybe whoever that man was saw I called the police. I went back to bed, and thankfully, the next time I woke up,
No, police,
sunlight creeping in through the closed blinds. It was around 10 a.m. It was Saturday, and that night, my friend was having a Halloween party that I was going to help set up for. During the day, I did a little grocery shopping, and while I was at it, picked up some things for the party. My costume was Velma from Scooby-Doo, and my friend throwing the party was Daphne. I got to her house around 6 p.m. The party started at 9, and it really picked up around 10:30. I was there pretty late, like I probably left her house a little after 1 a.m.
Damn.
I was good to drive, as I didn't really drink much besides a few beers. When
Okay,
I got
Jay.
home, I immediately noticed a cool draft in the house.
Oh.
After setting my things down on the dining room table, I noticed a window open. I went to shut it, trying to remember why I would have opened it. I went to brush my teeth, but then when I came out from the bathroom, I noticed the basement door was wide open. I froze. This was when I started hearing this faint but consistent clicking sound. As I got closer to the basement stairs, I realized it was coming from down there. And then I got to the top of the stairs, and I looked down to the pitch black basement, and the clicking suddenly stopped.
Fuck
The
no,
voice from
fam.
below suddenly said, "You're finally home."
Fam. I'm a roadman. I'm a tough guy, innit? But you're taking a piss. I would have run off. Fuck no. I'm not stopping shit right there. I'm out. I'm leaving, fam.
With that, I slammed the basement
I'm
door shut
leaving,
and
fam.
took my phone with me outside. I banged on the neighbor's door until he answered, and I chose to call the police in the safety of my neighbor's house. It was unfortunately the same two officers who returned to my house. My neighbor accompanied me as I went to speak with them this time, and I think that may have had some kind of impact on that taller cop's attitude. He wasn't as rude this time. He and his partner checked the house while my neighbor and I stood in the living room. Eventually, after their initial search, I showed them some of the spots I'd imagined someone could be hiding. I basically tore the entire house upside down. While
Jib
also
below
on
is
the
out.
phone
Yeah,
with
that
my
shit pissed me
drunk
off.
boyfriend.
I seen that below pulled out.
Sure that no one was here anymore. I packed a bag to go stay with my sister until Mika came back. This time I locked every window before leaving. The main takeaway lesson from my story is if you have windows that open wide enough for someone to crawl through, make sure they're always locked when they're closed. We still live in this house today, but for a few months, I refuse to be alone in the house for extended periods. I still have PTSD from this, and sometimes I have nightmares in which I think I'm hearing knocks at the window, and then I wake up.
I'm taking a piss, fam. Let's see a scary. We're recording. What the frick? Hey, check me out though. Editor Zick here. Time 3:30 in the fucking morning. I just want to say thank you for watching the full fucking video. I love you. I will give you a kiss. However, the kids is watching. But if you feel inclined to do so, go ahead and click on this video right here or right here. I don't know where it's at. It's my second time making an outro. Niggas got no pants on. Don't know why I said that. But I'll let y'all boys stay safe. I'm out.